Hello, I'm James Elder and welcome to a special show here on Pitch. We're looking at some of the teams in the relegation battle as it comes to the business end of the season. Tensions have been quite high. I'm quite fortunate enough to be joined by former professional boxer, trainer and manager, none other than Dan Naylor, and Leeds man as well. What's happening, Dan? How are you?
How's it going, James? All good, mate.
Yeah,
all good, you?
Good, yeah, very well. Great to have you with us, mate. We're also joined by Burnley fan, Joe. Great to have you with us, Joe. Tell us a little bit about your podcast firstly. Give us a little introduction.
Yeah, so it started out as just a podcast. We're called Turfcast Podcast. I've done some work with Pitch in the past. But sort of like over the last 18 months, we've sort of like moved more into video as well. So we have a YouTube channel. We've just recently hit 1,000 subscribers. I know it's not a lot, but it is the main thing that you need to get to in it before you can really start pushing on. So yes. I'm pretty happy about that. So we do a lot of video stuff like pre-game shows, full-time shows, watch-alongs every now and then, but I do get to most games. I'm not going tonight because the missus is in Barcelona, so I'm on dad duty. So I'll be doing a watch-along tonight for the game. So yeah, you can find us on YouTube. Just search Turfcast Podcast and we'll be there.
Love that. Good energy. So let's get it going then. It's like we mentioned, it's a penultimate time of the season. Things are getting hard. Points are tough. We've got Burnley, Aston Villa tonight, which looks like a really, really tough game on paper for Burnley. Let's initially talk about that game. How do you see that playing out?
I'm a little bit worried about it, obviously. We played them, 11 days ago at the Turf, and they breezed past us, mate. It was so easy for them. We played 4-4-2, obviously. We defended far too high up the pitch. The first goal was too easy. It was the long ball. It wasn't even a pass. It was the clearance. It went over our defence. Danny Ings were in. We all know what Danny Ings is like. He's fast and he's a good finisher. So you just resigned to it going in. Second goal, Dwight McNeil weren't picking his man up. 2-0. Third goal, we were pushing. Charlie Taylor got caught out of position. Watkins 3-0. Then we did get a goal. But recently, the last time out against Tottenham, we went 5-3-2, defended quite deep, and if it wasn't for, a controversial penalty decision, which, we won't get into, we would have come away from Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with a point. So I think it will be more of the same tonight. I think it will go 5-3-2 and just try and not necessarily shut up shop, but that will be the main focus. Do not concede, get a point, make sure it's still in our hands going into the final day, because that's what we want it to be. If we can match Leeds' result on the final day, I'll be more confident than worried. But if we get beat tonight and we have to better Leeds' result, then it's a completely different kettle of fish.
Now, you mentioned Leeds. Leeds will be taking on Brentford in the final day of the season. Not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. Brentford are a decent side. Dan, talk to me about Leeds United so far. Before we look at the Brentford game, talk to me about the season so far.
Mate, I thought we were safe. I can't remember how long ago it was. We was 8 points clear. I kept saying to people at work, we win this game, we're safe. And I felt like I kept saying it and we kept winning. And then all of a sudden, Burnley and Everton dragging the results in. And yeah, we just got involved in a dogfight down there. I think tonight is massive. I think if Burnley, like Joe said, if Burnley get a point tonight, I think we're in problems. We don't usually play that well against Brentford, even back in the Championship days. They're a tough team. Burnley last day, Newcastle at home. Newcastle in the same team away as they are at home. But the season, it's been up, down. I mean, the Bielsa thing, he had to go. It was like a mutual thing. Rafinha's been a star. No doubt he's going, whatever happens to us. The Marsh effect since he's been here, not too bad. Solid. We got a bit more solid. I mean, we were shipping goals for fun at one stage. But, yeah, I'm proper nervous. Tonight, I'm nervous about tonight, let alone Sunday. So, yeah, all eyes on tonight.
It's been interesting, and it's been a bit of a fall from grace from Leeds, from the plaudits of Bielsa ball. The man reinvented the wheel, according to some Leeds fans last season, to now where the team are now. It's a huge turn for and turn of events for Leeds.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Bielsa and all the Leeds fans did, but he's a very, very stubborn man. And I think when things weren't really going well, there didn't seem to be any changes. We were sticking. It was so easy to score against. Don't get me wrong, great to watch for a neutral. You knew what you were getting, goals. But yeah, when it went wrong, it went very wrong. And it was just going wrong more than it was going right. So, yeah, I think the change had to happen. I think he knew it. And the Leeds fans, it obviously didn't part. They love him. They always will. I mean, what he done for us was amazing. But Yeah, we needed to embed. January was the key with Bamford out. But if Bamford was in, I think different story this season. I think it's that missing that number 9. Rodrigo and James, they're not number 9s, and that's what we've needed up there with our formation and the way we play.
It could be a bad time for Leeds. We've seen in the past when they dropped out in the Premier League, the club has really spiralled. Are you confident as a Leeds fan now that the infrastructure of the club is a lot stronger than it was, say, in the Ridsdale era?
Yeah, but the Ridsdale era, we were signing people who were 33 on 6-year contracts and stuff like that, like Robbie Fowler. So, yeah, I think that the guy was just mad with money. I'm not concerned that we're just gonna go in flying down like we. I mean, the amount of games I went to in League One and the years we did in League One. This year we'll go up. This year we'll go up. But yeah, we were in a mess financial wise. Obviously the minus points and. But now I don't think if the worst happens, I'm confident we're gonna do it. If Burnley don't get a point tonight, I think we're all right. But if we do go down and the worst happens, I don't think it'll be full. I think financially we'll be quite stable.
Burnley are seasoned at this, Joe. They're used to being in these dogfights, but they are missing one man that's been there all the way through it in Sean Dyche. Was it wise to get rid of the general during a war? Someone that's been there and done that, had that experience.
It's one of them, just going off to what Dan just said about Leeds and stuff. It's a similar sort of thing. Everybody loved him. Everybody will always love him. You know, Dyche obviously referring to Burnley, obviously Bielsa in Leeds. But it just felt like the time was right. The Norwich game, we got beat at Norwich, and we drew at home to Norwich. We drew at home to Watford, and people always say like, "Oh, Burnley always get out of it because this season pros at it. They've done this every single season." But we were losing games or drawing games that we normally win. Like we were going past certain points where you're like, "Well, we normally are out of it by now. Like we'd normally got a point there, or we'd have normally won and dragged ourselves out of it." But we weren't doing that. And that Norwich game for me, Brentford away as well. The players just didn't look like they were playing for him. Obviously, they'll never admit that. But it just, it'd been here 9.5 years. And, we're not known for signing players and selling players. Tarky's been here for quite a while. There's no conveyor belt of players in and players out sort of thing. So it's the same voice saying the same thing to the same ears. It just got a bit stale, I think. It just got a bit stale. And the fact that Jackson came in and won 3 in a row, I think backs that point up. All right, we have lost a couple since then, but we've played Aston Villa and Tottenham in them. So I think it wasn't wise at the time, and I disagree with the decision at the time. But I think that the recent results have kind of proven that it probably was the right decision. And if anything, we should have probably done it earlier. I think without making that decision, I think we're gone already, and we're not even having this discussion now.
Who do you think's got the easier run of games out of the teams? I know Leeds have only got the one game against Brentford. You've got Newcastle on the last day.
Yeah.
How do you compare to Everton's run?
I think all of them are quite difficult. I think Everton have got a winnable game tonight, though. I think that's the difference. I don't look at any of our games and say that's winnable. Newcastle potentially.
Everton Crystal Palace tonight. That's a tricky game. I've been to a lot of games at Palace this year.
It is tricky. Don't get me wrong. Palace are decent. They're in mid-table for a reason. But I think with the Goodison crowd, the things they've been doing recently, the flares and all that sort of stuff, I think they can drag them over that line against Palace. All right, they probably would have said that against Brentford. But 2 silly red cards. I think if they keep the Reds tonight and don't get some silly red cards, I do think they beat Palace. Leeds, obviously Brentford, that's a tough game. We've just seen them beat Everton. Again, obviously without the red cards, it's a different story. But as Dan was saying earlier, Leeds and Brentford, Leeds probably don't really play too well against Brentford usually. So fingers crossed, for us, it's a similar sort of thing on the last day. But it's 6 games ago, I was looking at our fixtures, Everton's fixtures and Leeds fixtures, and I was saying we have the easier fixtures here. But then Everton picked up points in games you wouldn't expect them to, Man United, Chelsea, things like that. Yeah. And it was just like, okay, well, and then we are now in a position where I feel like we have probably got 2 of the most difficult ones. But that's just probably me just looking at it through cloud-tinted spectacles, obviously. But I do think we have the most difficult ones. Villa away is not going to be tough. And Newcastle, yes, they are better at home than they are away. But if they play anything like they did against Arsenal, against us, then we are not going to get anything out of that game.
Everton got Arsenal on the final day of the season as well, so it's not an easy game. Arsenal's still something to play for. If Tottenham slip up,
if they don't win tonight, Everton could be in big, big trouble. I think Leeds are capable of winning at Brentford, especially, it'll be a big following. They have to win. I think they are capable of winning at Brentford. I do think it can go either way, though. And yes, we are capable of beating an away Newcastle side. So if Everton have to go to Arsenal on the last day and, get a point or win, or if Leeds are 2-0 up at half-time and we're winning, Everton are in big trouble, because I don't think they beat Arsenal at the Emirates when they try and go for the Champions League.
Who would you rather see, Dan? Leeds or Everton?
Honestly, I am not bothered. I work in Leeds, so that would be a little bit funny because I work in Leeds. But other than that, it's people always say there and always ask you that question: who would you rather go down? I think the funniest one would be Everton. But as long as Burnley stay up, that's all I'm bothered about. Honestly, I don't like to get thrown into that too much. I don't care who goes down as long as it's not us. But both of them will have the benefits for me, because Everton's will be the funniest, and I work in Leeds. So, but yeah, just stay up, Burnley, for me, please.
What about you, Dan? What are you thinking? Who do you think is going to go down, hypothetically, if it's not Leeds?
I honestly think if Burnley get a point tonight, it'll be us. If not, I think that draw was massive for us. That point, 92nd minute draw, that's basically a win in the players' mindset, and they're going to be pumped. And I think they're just going to want it, that last game against Brentford. But I think if Burnley get a point tonight, I think we are in trouble, because I think the nerves will kick in. I would love Everton to go down. Not a Lampard fan at all. When he was at Derby and we had them in the playoffs in the Championship, him putting the fists up to the Leeds fans and that. For me, if Everton go down, obviously the main thing is Leeds stay up, but I'll be very happy if Everton hit the drop.
Do you think Lampard has been quite fortunate to get the jobs he's got so far?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he didn't do too bad at Derby, but yeah, I don't. It'd have been good to have Chris on to discuss Everton, what an actual fan thinks. But no, I'm not a great admirer of him as a manager myself.
Yeah. We did have an Everton fan lined up today, but sadly he's still crying. Still crying
on American time, isn't he?
He's still crying. Soil. He's still crying about having to play Arsenal final game of the season. Go on then, lads. So what's been the key moment this season for you guys? What moment did you realise that you were going to be in the dogfight this year? What's been that moment when it hit you?
For me, it was the Norwich draw at home. This is quite a while ago. 0-0. We had to beat them. You can't be drawing against teams. No disrespect to Norwich, but you can't be drawing against teams like Norwich and then expecting to stay up. So for me, it was that one, and then not long after that, it was the Watford draw at home. Again, similar scenario. We were just going past teams that we should have been beating and not beating, and that I just at that point kept thinking to myself, we're going to get dragged into this.
You could go on, Dan, and as for you as well, what moment?
For me, it wasn't a game. It was when Bamford was just coming back. The fans were pumped. Phillips was back, and I think he come on and he scored, or he started, or come on as a sub. I can't remember specifically, but then he got injured again, and you saw him. He was in tears. His foot had gone again, and I was checking all the forums, trying to get an update, and they were like, "Look, it's looking likely he's out for the rest of the season." And for me, we're not a one-man team by any means, the imagination, but he has a big impact. He holds the ball up well, he gets goals, and we just haven't got a player close to that. So for me, that was probably the most worrying sign. And then, for me, that's what dragged us into it, losing Bamford. As soon as he come back, nabbed the goal, and then injured the foot again. And it's confirmed out for the season.
Yeah, he's been terribly unlucky, Bamford. He was just sort of breaking into the England setup as well, weren't he? He was getting criticism for his lack of goals, but his overall play was fantastic, and he was just starting to score a few more, and then terrible luck for him. Terrible.
Unless if you don't watch the full 90 minutes, obviously you don't see it as much, but he does so much work around the box, holds the ball up so well, brings others into play. We haven't got anyone to bring on who does that. I mean, Daniel James is rapid, don't get me wrong, but he's nothing like that kind of player. Rodrigo.
He's a winger, isn't he?
Yeah, hit and miss. They've tried him in the number 9 quite a few times. Bielsa used to like trying him there. Not for me. Not a good finisher. Decent little winger, tricky feet, speedy, obviously. And Rodrigo, 2 hit and miss. Again, not the same effect as Bamford.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is a part of the show I like to call the war speech. If you could say anything to the players ahead of Saturday's 2:00 or Sunday's 2:00 kickoff, rather, what would you say? What would you say to G them up? What would you say to get the best out of Wout Waghurst, the big man, on Sunday?
Honestly, I have no idea. I would just say to them, look, just know that this is it. Like, I know you probably do know that this is it, but this is it. The club might not be in the best position financially if we get relegated. So try and not think about that too much, but have it in the back of your head. We don't want to end up doing a Leeds or a Sunderland or even a Blackburn, going all the way down to League One. We want to stay in the Premier League. Alan Pace has only been in not too long. I feel like the club can grow under him, but I feel like we need to be in the Premier League to grow under him. And on the flip side of that, I don't think we can grow under him in the Championship. I think it could end up just going sour in the Championship. So just make sure you're up for it. Just remember who you are, because the Burnley of 3-4 seasons ago wouldn't be in this position. The Burnley of 3-4 seasons ago would go into this game or a game like this, just battle the way through it, get a win, put some bodies on the line, kick some people if you have to. Just do whatever you need to do. Win at any means necessary. If you have to snap some people, then by all means snap some people. The Premier League status of Burnley Football Club is at stake. So just go into it, be who you are, and just try and remember the Burnley of old.
He's 6'6", lad. Just put a bloody ball on his head. You know what I mean?
But you know what? People always say this. He's so bad in the air.
It's impossible.
He gets smaller when he jumps. Right? Honestly, when he jumps like this, and he gets smaller. He turns his 5'10". So the thing is, Burnley do lump the ball up to his head, like we did with Chris Wood for the last 4 years, however long he was here. And it worked with Chris Wood to a certain extent. He might not score as many goals as some people would have liked. He was a leading goal scorer for the last 3 seasons, but still not enough for some Burnley fans. But he would hold the ball up pretty well. He'd win headers, so people are getting behind, and we create chances like that. But with Wout, it's just you're lumping it at him, and it's just bouncing off him, or he's missing the header. He's a weird one. For a 6'6" guy, he's a bit of a Harry Kane sort of player. Obviously, nowhere near that standard. But like how Harry Kane likes to drop deep and come into midfield and collect the ball at feet. That's what Wout likes to do. But we don't play that way. So he just doesn't suit Burnley's style of play, unfortunately, at the minute. But again, I think if we have a full pre-season with him and a new manager, Kompany, Knutson, whatever these rumours are, then I think we can get someone who can play. We can get a style to play to Wout's strengths. So stop lumping it at his head, because it doesn't work.
Dan, what would you say to G the players up before Sunday 2:00? What would you say to Rafinha to get him to dribble down the flank or dribble down the middle of the pitch and get one in? What would you say to James? How would you go about it?
Mate, I'm raiding a piggy bank. I want to get Bielsa back just for the team talk. Let's just get him in for the team talk. Him, Jesse Marsh. I think Marsh has got a bit about him. It's just, I think the first half, we were shocking last week. Second half, different team. So it's just got to be a case of keep your heads, because we've had a couple of red cards, Ayling and James, last few games. So it's keep your heads. But let's just go out there. We've got to beat in a Brentford. I know we have. I would get Phillips up there as well. Leeds born, family all from Leeds. Let's do it. We can do this. And let's just get the result. Let's just go out there and win. Not play for a draw, not sit back. Let's just win. Keep our heads where we left off last game. Let's crack on and get the win.
It's going to be interesting Sunday. It really is. As much as the title race is got excitement, there's definitely some tension and excitement at the bottom of the table as well.
Forget the title race, forget the Champions League. It's all about them bottom 3 going for it.
I'm telling you, it's intense. It's intense. It's intense. It means a lot. You can tell what it means to people. It really does. It's a difference between going to Millwall away and going to Old Trafford. So it's a bit. I mean, the amount of League One and Championship games I've gone to in the last 10 years. It is a big difference, and we want to stay up there. We've got some good players. You're not telling me Phillips is going to stay. Rafinha has gone regardless, but it's a massive change when you drop from the Premier League back down to the Championship. And I don't think Leeds or the board were thinking that was going to happen. And the players we've got, I think we'll struggle to keep a lot of them. So it's a massive Sunday for all the teams involved. All right, gentlemen, I've got to say thank you very much for coming on the show today and making a bit of time for me. I really do appreciate it, and I'm going to be watching the final games as excited as you boys to see how it all plays out for everyone.
So who have you got, James? Who have you got? We haven't heard who you've got.
Well, Arsenal, so we've got Everton.
No. Who you got to go down?
Oh, to go down. It's a really tough one, I've been looking at the fixtures, and I thought Everton, like Joe touched on, this is something that I realised and tweaked halfway through the season. Everton had a lot harder run of games. So I'm still going to look at their last games, and I'm still going to go Everton, because I believe that their games, what I initially predicted, is harder. I think that they've got the hardest run.
Yeah. Problem is we need to win to drag Everton into it, don't we?
Yeah, but the problem you've got now is you're both reliant on wins. So it's going to be very tricky. I think you could flick a coin. I really do. It's going to be that tight. Yeah. It's going to be that tight. Could you imagine what it'd be like if a 92nd minute winner sent one of you boys down?
Well,
we're both shook his head then. So
that 92nd minute draw was enough drama for me in a good way, but. I hope we're just 2-3
We've been stung by late goals. I think Everton scored a late winner against Palace in like the 96th minute. As Dan was just saying, Leeds have recently scored a 92nd minute equaliser to drag them out of the relegation zone. We haven't had that yet. So if there is going to be a late one, by the law of averages, can it please be us? Because we've not had one yet. We just keep getting screwed over by him. So probably we'll end up getting screwed over by it again, knowing Burnley.
Wout Weghorst, 89th minute header, lad. Just make sure it's down the right end of the pitch.
Yeah. He'd become an instant legend.
I think Chris Wood was undervalued. His 100%. Name was...
Same at Leeds, 100%. Class player.
The problem with him is because he's so tall, when he runs, he looks like he's running slow, but he's actually really fast. Yeah. It's so weird. But then if the ball falls to him in the box, all right, he will have some Raheem Sterling style misses, but you can 9 times out of 10 put your house on the fact that he's going to bury that chance. And players like that you don't get very often. But because his touch weren't the best and he looked slow, people just got frustrated with him. But like I said, I've worked in Leeds for around 6 years now. So even when he was at Leeds, I've seen that Leeds fans were frustrated with him. It was the same with Burnley fans. And now it's the same with Newcastle. People never really value him. So it's apart from New Zealand, but it's unfortunate for him, but people just never really value him. But if a ball falls to him in the box, like I said, 9 times out of 10, if he's on the end of it, it's going in.
That's what I mean. I don't think there's much difference really between him and Wout Weghorst. No, I don't think there is.
I think technically Wout is a better player. I just think Chris Wood suits the Premier League better. But Weghorst might suit the Premier League better in 3-4 years if he's still.
I suppose once he's had a chance to adjust, I guess. And I suppose the direct way Burnley play affects his overall goal.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't like the way that we play. I know for a fact he's even said it to some of the players. He doesn't like the way that we play. He does. You can even just looking at his body language on the pitch, and every time he gets subbed off, he doesn't like the way that we play. But we have tried to play a little bit different under Jackson. We're not going to play as direct as with any new manager as we did with Dyche, because that's what Dyche is pretty much known for. If the rumours are true, Knutson from Bordeaux/Glint or company, I think both of them will play in a style that may suit him. So we'll see. If we get relegated, I don't think he'll be here next season. I think him and Cornet will both leave. And I don't think we'll even get a decent name manager either. So that's another thing with us. We currently don't have a manager. We need to stay in the Premier League to try and attract, a decent manager. Leeds, Jesse March, at least as a manager. Obviously, Dan just said he thinks he's got a bit about him. A few Leeds fans are sort of like not so sure on him at the minute, but at least he's a manager. He can go in there and he can change things up. But as Jackson, all right, he tried at Shrewsbury and Tranmere, but I think he got sacked from them both. So we don't actually have a manager at the minute, and we need to stay in the Premier League to be able to attract a decent name, I think.
Just to point out, Woot's not the only one that dislikes your style of play. The rest of us do as well. It's bloody annoying. It's effective, lad, and you're playing to your strength.
It's one of them. Like, people always say, I hate the way Burnley play. It's not the way Burnley play, it's the way Dyche plays. And now he's gone. Yes, we still have the same players, and you'll see a few long balls looked up every now and then, but we do try and play football. It'll be interesting to see what Dyche does at his next club, because if he plays the same way, I think a lot of people will start to realise that Dyche is Brexit, not Burnley. And if we get someone like Knutson in who's going to play free flowing attacking football, And, I want to shake that reputation off personally, because it was effective for years. And I enjoyed shithousing people. I enjoyed people complaining about it and, nicking these wins, and Ashley Barnes powering it in from 5 yards out, breaking the net. I loved it. But then when you're finishing 17th and stuff like that, season after season, it's not as effective anymore and it's not as enjoyable. And obviously now the time's obviously run out for it, because we are looking over our shoulder and Daesh is nowhere near us anymore.
War Dogs. All right, lads, let's anticipate a good one on Sunday. Thank you very much, Dan, Joe, for your time today. And I can't wait for the end of the season. Thank you very much, lads.
Nice one, James. Nice to meet you, Joe.
Top man. Yeah, Thanks,
too.
lads.
Cheers.
See you, mate. Bye.